Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Praise the Run podcast. I'm your host, Ben Lucky, the Mr. Ben Show, and this is Patrick,
Hey,
my co-host, my lovely co-host.
what up?
I was keeping conversation to a minimal before you came in because I was like, well, I'm gonna record everything.
That's good. Yeah. Sometimes we just get into it and then
But then there was the
we don't
show.
get nothing on the show.
Yeah. We were watching the Prepare to Try RKG boys playing Elden Ring. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I had the door closed when you arrived because I was watching TV and it was so loud. But
Oh,
yeah, I do that.
I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know. What if he's asleep or
No.
changing or something?
I was expecting you to message me before you came, but I was like, well, I'm sure he will. Maybe he's gonna start heading this way right at 5:30. But
Yeah. Well, I figured we'd meet at 5:30. Usually, if you just give me a time, I just show up.
yeah,
But like,
yeah.
if it's
had
like
everything.
a rough estimate, like if it's like meet me between like 2 and 3,
Right.
then I'll be like, all right, my ETA is like 2:45.
Right.
But if you say meet me at 5:30, I'll be like, I'll just be there
Yeah.
at that time. Typically, it depends, but
It makes sense. We don't need to keep being like, are you sure? Are you
Right.
sure 5:30? No,
Yeah.
for sure. I had everything set up already, but I was like, well, maybe he, because I mean, you have a further drive, so I was
yeah.
like,
No, actually, I moved a little closer.
right, but it's still like, it still takes a minute,
Yeah.
right? I didn't know how far out you would have to drive.
That's
With this light, because it's all weird looking. And they're like both blown out with our white ass. That looks still pretty blown out, but it'll be fine.
It's like 2 in the morning.
The
Weird time.
what is?
I don't know. It just looks. Yeah. Just
Oh.
looks like we're right in the sun.
But the sun is out. They can actually see the sun. My favorite thing, if you watch some of our podcasts, and depending on what time you record, you can watch. I mean, even in my videos too, you can watch the sunset in my videos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
From what's behind me, or the sunrise in a couple of my videos, depending on if I'm getting home from work or not.
That's sick.
Anyways, but you have a show tonight. What's up? What are you doing? How's last week been? What have you been playing? What have you been?
Yeah, I have a show tonight. It's like a heckle show. So like
Heckle show.
Yeah, so like the audience is given permission or whatever to like they know ahead of time going in that they're supposed to heckle.
Okay.
Instead of like the opposite, you know.
It's
It's a shtick. It's a gimmick or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's nothing I'm against. I mean, I enjoy people trying to, you know,
step on jokes.
talk shit or whatever. Well, it wouldn't even be that because, with this kind of show, it's more or less like I'll just rebuttal all the stuff they say instead of doing jokes.
Right.
Like, I probably won't do any jokes. It'll just be me talking to these people. Unless none of them heckle, and then I'll do jokes. I mean,
Right.
I've done it a couple times. I have a few different strategies or whatever. But at the end of the day, I mean, a show's a show. I'll make it funny. But
Is there like limits on heckling?
I don't know.
What's considered heckling? Is it just yelling? Because
I guess it depends.
you remember the Jackass skit when they're all at the golf course, and right before they go take a swing, they do the air horn.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Brr!"
that's true. I mean, they can do that too. I
You
mean,
just have-
it's in a bar, so I'm sure that the
right before the
owners,
punchline.
you know, right. I'm sure if the owners, you know, will have their own guidelines or whatever. But
Yeah, it seems like it's reinforcing bad habits.
I mean, if it's in the structure of a show, though, I think it's better than like if it's just a regular show.
Yeah,
If that is the show, then it's more or less like inviting those type
Right.
of people. Like, all right, this is your time to be a heckler, and all the other times, don't or something.
right.
They're few and far between. There's a reason why they're not more common, but they are fun to do occasionally, you know, especially like in small towns where it is just full of, you know, small town rage, and
Yeah.
you let them take it out on you, and you make them laugh, and you have a good time. So
Yeah, I could see
not
why
gonna be
it's
terrible.
fun. But
Plus, I've been doing roast battles the last few days in New
oh
York,
yeah.
so I'm already kind of in that zone mentally, you
Right.
know. So like, bring it on, fucking Groton, Connecticut. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, assuming that it's not most people's first comedy show,
Right.
but if it is their first comedy show, I could see how that would set a bad precedent for
Yeah, but it's on
what.
it's on the flyer and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, even if you are
Seems
walking
fun.
into it, you'll be aware right away. You won't have to wait for like, the
Right.
show to start and rules. I mean, you'll probably still need rules.
I could also see
Right.
why comics probably don't want to sign up for a show like that. If you're like, you want my jokes to get stepped on? Nah, dude.
Yeah. Well, again, like a lot
You want
of
my
it,
ego to get hurt?
a
Nah,
lot of it's
dude.
a lot of it's for the comics that can just riff.
Yeah.
It's more about riffing and less about
crowd
like
work.
working on material. Like, you're not there to work on
Yeah.
material.
Yeah, it's
So
and it's
really just like trying to be the jester and
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
weightlifting a muscle. Like
Absolutely.
hecklers just
Yeah.
happen naturally in a show, so like
Exactly.
it kind of gives you like feeding to, you know, learn your slaps.
no,
you know?
absolutely, yeah, it is good
Yeah, that'll be fun
for
I don't
that.
know.
There's a heckle mic in Boston right now that is reoccurring.
Oh really?
But that one is reinforced with comedian hecklers. So like, even if they don't get a crowd, other comics can heckle you. And that one's a little more like, I'm sure most of it is just a lot of friends, a lot
Yeah.
of, you know, comedians that know each other, just kind of, but it also kind of becomes constructive sometimes, because like the comedians would be throwing out like things that are funnier, you know, because they're comics.
Right.
And that kind of almost in a way builds your stuff if you're not intimidated by the heckles, you know.
Right.
So
The people that are also there to put on a show want the show to be good.
exactly, right. No one's there to have a bad time. So
Right.
like, at the end of the day, things will be, you hope at least, will be driven in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good time. It is nice. It's a nice, different, like, refreshing take, especially because yesterday I did a regular show,
Yeah.
and it was like a full house, but it was like most of the people there were for this guy's 93-year-old birthday party.
What?
Right. And like, he was a lovely fellow, you know, for he was still kicking for his age or whatever, but like, you know,
Yeah.
that was that. I had to be nice to this family of, you know, 30 people or whatever. Now I get to just shit on a bunch of townies. And
When you're 93, is your family also just super old at that point?
they actually kind of split it up. Like, a lot of the older people, like his direct, like, sons and daughters and stuff, sat at one table. So there was like one table of like a lot of old people, 90 to like 50, and then
Yeah.
a lot of the like grandchildren and blah blah
Oh.
blah were on this side.
Right.
But yeah, no, like, even all of his children had gray hair. Like,
Yeah.
it was it was very
This might be his last birthday ever.
right.
And
he chose to do it at a comedy show.
Yeah.
Don't
You
worry,
might
I
be
made
one of the
sure-
last comedians this guy ever sees.
I made sure he felt bad about it for sure.
That's funny as hell.
Yeah, no, we had a good time. Me and him had a good back and forth. He was, like I said, he was a very nice guy.
That's funny.
And yeah, no, cool guy. Shout out to George. He had a pineapple upside down cake. If that's not the oldest old man cake you could ever have, that's pretty
Is
cool.
he a swinger?
I don't know. Maybe
That's what that means.
Maybe that's what that is. Well,
The
no,
upside down pineapple is.
pineapple upside down cake was made before
Oh.
upside down
Oh.
pineapple.
I was
swingers.
imagining a white sheet cake with an upside down
No, no,
pineapple
no.
on it.
Pineapple upside down
Okay.
cake is just like,
A thing.
it's like
It's like a strawberry shortcake or some kind of thing like that.
a fruit.
A fruit cake.
Like a cake, but you literally turn it upside down because the bottom is like a pineapple ring, like a solid pineapple ring.
I have seen that. Yeah, that's a
and-
big Hawaiian
and then like
thing.
a cherry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big old person thing too.
Yeah.
Apparently, but they love putting fruit and baked goods.
Yeah, we'd have that with Spam.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, some fried Spam and Hawaiian cake.
But yeah, So
That sounds good.
I'm stoked.
It's fun.
I mean, I'm very tired, but
How was
stoked.
the roast battles?
Not too bad. The first one, both of us did horribly. Nobody liked us.
Oh yeah.
It just was one of those nights. And then the second one was the complete opposite, where like it was super awesome.
Yeah.
Super great night. Everyone was like, "Hell yeah!" So, you know, you get a little bit of both. That's comedy.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
I'm thinking
Especially
about like
just crowds. It's all about that.
yeah. I want to like do like some sort of like comedy vlog or something.
Do it, man.
Like especially after like weeks like this where it's like bam bam bam. You know.
Yeah. Get a selfie stick and just, I have one in the car. I've been meaning to do it, especially like I don't know. I want to get into like I eat so many weird, crazy snacks. I might as well get into food reviewing and like music reviewing and like little short form content. Like I got the new spooky Twinkies. These things are fucking heinous.
With scream filling.
Yeah, I mean they're not that bad. If you like Twinkies, here you can have one.
What is it?
If you like it's just a chocolate Twinkie,
Oh,
but it's the Ho-Oh chocolate, and it's like super rich.
What's the scream filling though?
Oh, it's just regular.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, cream filling.
Kind of upsetting to be honest. I was hoping
But
that would
it's
also be
scream.
different. You're right.
But the what else did? Oh, I don't have any of it anymore. But the Little Debbie's, like all of the limited edition stuff that they came out with this year. They have like a bunch of new pumpkin stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna
Tis
do.
the season.
Yeah, right. But I don't know, man. I was just trying to think of like more short form content that I could do that's
for sure.
not on YouTube or that I can like do as YouTube shorts as well. I don't really want to kill my YouTube feed, especially with like I have 3-4 hour videos, you know, and then a 30-second to 2-minute short on YouTube, and then going that seems like it'd kill the feed. But on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that.
Right.
But YouTube wants you, in order to get monetization, you need like it's 500 subscribers to get memberships and stuff, and then 1,000 to get ad revenue. And then you need either 3,000, I think it's 3,000 hours of cumulative watch time, which I have. That's not a big deal because of my content being so long, or 3 million views on YouTube Shorts. And that's not watch time cumulative. That could just be somebody watching for 2 seconds and then scrolling back.
Right, yeah,
that counts
it still pops
as a
up
view.
as a view, yeah.
But yeah, and that's another way to get ad revenue. So I don't know. I thought about it, and it's not just for ad revenue, but it's something that I don't know. It's not a muscle that I work often. Like
right.
I ramble a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Like or even banging out like a minute edit or something like that. I don't usually do that. It's not something I've had to do since college.
Right, and shorts are the thing now, you know.
Right, it's shorts.
I love the shorts.
People love shorts, and people love super long form content. And the YouTube algorithm favors both of those. And everything in between kind of gets lost to the wayside, unless if you're doing the fucking what we talked about last week, where it's like every single like what is it called? Fucking essay analysis videos, like reaction content essay analysis of like reality shows and stuff like that. That's like you have to have a 20-minute one of those or like a 4-hour let's play.
Right.
That's the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, that's a big one. I follow a couple pages that do that.
Yeah, I mean Papa Meat has his, which I've been enjoying. I like his because it's not just that; it's a lot of like news reaction, like the stuff that I'm actually interested in, like carnival accidents. And he
stuff
actually
like puts his own twist and personality into it. It's not just like
Right.
Same, thumbnail, same background lights,
Right.
same.
And he has like a puppet, like the computer puppet.
He works with like a puppet company now, I think.
Yeah, and then Wendigoon is producing all of it and like gives him feedback and feeds him all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
the whole thing.
Wendigoon, his content is super long form essays about about horrific shit.
Right.
So I don't usually watch his stuff. Like, I like horror stuff for sure, but like that's like stuff that if you want to feel depressed, go learn about some cult shit. And
yeah,
and that's what he does.
Stuff,
yeah, the Anthill Kids and stuff like that. But he's that's a really good dynamic. But then there's like a couple of other channels that I've checked out that all do like this is this episode of fucking Storage Wars, and they do the craziest shit.
Yeah.
You will believe it. And then they break down an episode of Storage Wars.
Yeah.
And
it's just like just like an extra dramatic episode.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And then they get 3 million views.
Yeah, I don't...
I mean, whatever works.
Yeah, right.
That's how you do it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't have the attention span for that, I think.
Right. Well, I mean, you also need, like, the edit time, which is why these people have, like, one editor who bangs out these edits in a day.
Mm-hmm.
They film in a day. They have the dude edit it that same day or the next day in 24 hours, and it's a quick turnaround where they can watch this episode while they're eating dinner or whatever and be like, that's a good one.
Right.
And then, like, that it doesn't take long to react to an episode of that, and then it's like an hour worth of footage that's broken down into 20 minutes or whatever.
Right.
I mean, I kind of used to do that with Let's Plays. Like, I used to break out, like, all of the ums and oohs and ahs, and, I used to break out all the silences. But it's just, for Let's Plays, it doesn't make any sense. It's not, I don't think it works like that anymore. And I know people do, like, the quick form punch-ins and stuff for Let's Plays sometimes now.
Right.
Like, the RKG dudes, they're still 2-hour Let's Plays, but they're a little bit more highly produced. Yeah. But, like, Game Grumps is not.
You gotta include... You don't want to take too much from the game as well. So
right.
Your audio, like... you can't cut it or then...
Right. It's personality-driven content.
Right.
So, like, if your personality can't hold the video, then why do you make... That was my thing. It was like, I wanted to build up my personality to fit my content, not my content to fit my personality. Yeah. Because the content I wanted to work on was a lot more specific than just making whatever reaction content or whatever.
Right.
Even though it's just Let's Plays, it was like, well, can I talk into a microphone for 3 hours at a time? Could I even do it for 30 minutes at a time? Mm-hmm. Like, that took a while for me to do that.
Yeah.
Let alone, now I can bang out 4 hours straight and do that no problem. And have plenty to talk about stupid shit, you know? Speaking of stupid shit, have you seen what happened with Pokemon?
No. I don't think so.
So there was a Giga leak this week.
Yeah.
There was a data breach apparently in August is what was revealed of Game Freak. Data breach. I'm gonna bring up an article. Let's see. The Verge has it right here. This is from Adi Robertson. Pokemon developer faces major data leak. Hackers released a collection of leaked data from Pokemon game developer Game Freak over the weekend, including personal information about employees of Game Freak. It always sucks. But the rest comes with a lot of things that we would want, which develops the main lineup of Pokemon video games, confirmed the breach in a statement saying, that it was a result of unauthorized access to our servers by a third party. Let me go down the article a little bit. Game Freak said the leak to personal information, which characterizes as names and company email addresses, including 2,600 items. As Polygon notes, however, the breach appears to include much more than employee information. Redditors and others say that they've unearthed source code from previous games as well as unused Pokemon designs and the other things that were scraped during the development process.
Yeah.
They've allegedly found more limited detail about future projects, including some codenames about future games. Or future, not feature, future. There are no apparent reports of direct leaks from other companies involved in Pokemon as a part of the breach. So, like Nintendo or Creatures. Going down a bit. Game Freak's statement, which was dated for the 10th of October. This is from them officially. Notice an apology regarding to the leak of personal information due to unauthorized access. Game Freak Inc. Has discovered that the personal information of our employees and others was leaked in connection with unauthorized access to our server by a third party in August of 2024. We sincerely apologize for the great inconvenience and concern caused to all concerned parties. And then it goes over what that information could be. Response to those personal information has been confirmed to have been leaked. We are contacting the relevant employees, etc. individually. For those who cannot be contacted individually due to resignation, etc., we will notify them through this announcement and set up a hotline to handle inquiries regarding this matter. Measures, and they go like how to prevent this, and then inquiries for those affected by this matter can be made through that hotline below. So that article didn't really get into what specifically the leaks were, but yeah, man, another big leak. We had that Insomniac one not too long ago. Before that one was the Grand Theft Auto one. And then, I don't know, we weren't doing the podcast at this point, or maybe we had just started it. I don't think so. Maybe this was long before. But, yeah, it was well before. But around the time that the Switch launched, I believe, Nintendo also had a giant leak. It was kind of like the first instance that we remember of something like this. And there was a couple of other times, like way back in the day. But it was called also the Nintendo Giga Leak, and it was an insane amount of source code and like crazy stuff. Along with this, we got a lot of Pokemon theology and lore that is otherwise distasteful and unused lore.
Oh, okay. Probably on purpose.
Very much on purpose. So I'm gonna read some excerpts from.
Am I gonna understand them? Because I'm not very up on my Pokemon.
Oh yeah. You'll understand.
I'm like,
completely why.
Okay.
So I'm gonna show you what a Typhlosion looks like.
Okay.
Sounds
like a water type.
This is a Typhlosion.
Not a water type.
Not a water type.
This is how knowledgeable I am.
He's a typhoon of explosion.
Okay. I thought a typhoon was water.
Right, but
it doesn't matter. It's details, but okay, cool.
Yeah,
it looks
he
cool.
Spews.
It looks sick.
Yeah,
sick Pokemon. What's wrong with them?
There was a Typhlosion lore story that was leaked out. A part of this that was never used,
like his origin.
Right, kind of not really like a straight up why he was made kind of thing, but like some flavor text of like what the Pokemon universe could be, you know. I wanted the full thing. This Forbes article is like Da, 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 da. Nobody has the stories anymore. What the fuck? According to Pokemon leaks,
It was too much. It was too much for the world to handle. We couldn't know the the monster's true ways. It's just too terrible to bear.
Typhlosion story lore.
It can't be worse than that little skull thing. Where he wears his mom's skull or something. Isn't
Oh,
that
the
a thing?
Cubone?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
dude,
pretty
this
sad.
is heinous stuff.
It's pretty upsetting. When I heard that, I was like, wow, that's not even necessary. They just threw that in there.
This Forbes article, I guess, will break it down for us.
Okay. Take it away, Forbes.
I'm not precisely sure why. This is from Paul Tassi from Forbes. I'm not precisely sure why, but there has been an astonishing amount of interest in the Game Freak leak. It's fucking Pokemon, that's why.
Right.
But none was focused more intensely on the lore story about a Typhlosion where the Pokemon shapeshifts into a human and marries a young girl and has a half Pokemon child with her before her father kills him.
Wow. Alright. Well, what's that Pokemon called?
Yeah, assuming it's just like a type. It's another Cyndaquil. Is what it starts
But
at.
if it's
as
half,
a little.
But if it's half human, wouldn't it be something different?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, like, there was no design for it.
That's what I was going for. I was hoping
Yeah.
that was like the next thing.
No. But the idea of the story was authored by Yu Nakatsu.
Yeah.
Appears to have been messed up through translation, and such a person does not actually seem to exist. All of these leaks that happen were first posted on 4chan, so that's another thing. There's a lot of these stories that happened. There's only one of like 5 or 6 that came out amongst all of this other stuff that was real.
Right.
So who knows if somebody just kind of threw in these, Rule 34 stories.
Very true. Yeah.
A lot of these have to do with like Pokemon human relations and like maybe even like Pokemon sexually assaulting very young people.
It's bound to happen, I guess. They are sentient creatures.
Yeah, but they're
Not that that's a good thing. It just
mostly animals.
I don't encourage it to put it in the lore, but I can see why they'd be like, hey, we gotta make this hyper realistic. Some of these creatures are just really big humans with shells. I don't know.
Yeah, there was another one that was a little bit more graphic about a Slacking. Slacking is a giant sloth Pokemon.
No.
He's the big one right there.
Oh, okay.
And one story involves a woman and her friends who were killing and torturing Slackoth and Vigoroth, who ended up capturing the woman. She attempted to run, but fainted. When the woman regained conscious, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to the house. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human. It was a Slackoth. She intended to abandon it, but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise the Slackoth.
Wow.
That's the start of that story.
I mean, that, it's as horrible as it is, that would be an incredible start to a Pokemon game. Just like Pokemon Brown, and your first Pokemon, you don't even get to choose, it's because it's your child.
Yeah.
So you have to raise the child and then fight with it.
So here's the full lore dump of the Slackoth thing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so fucked up, dude. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the surroundings suddenly opened up, and they found the same clear lake from before. Around the lake, there were many Slackoth and Vigoroth. The woman before the lake, and holding the lifeless body of the Slackoth, she threw herself into the water. Afterwards, the woman's friends began to treat the Slackoth as companions, just as they had in her final moments. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a Slackoth. It's insane. There's one about a Rapidash. This story keeps going. Keeps going. I didn't realize.
I feel like at some point this has to be like a fan fiction thing.
Right. Well, a lot of... Yeah, so, like, this was mixed in with stuff that we kind of already knew as well. Like, Arceus is the Pokemon god creature. And there was kind of, like, more theology dumped on with him and stuff like that. And with all of this stuff, like I said, it could have just been some dudes writing on a computer somewhere, and it was written in 2005 and then forgotten in a file somewhere, but because they, like, Nintendo is super... They pretty much log everything nowadays, especially the Pokemon Company. Pokemon Company keeps everything.
Right, yeah.
They probably just had this on some hard drive, some file in the background somewhere, and just forgot about it.
And someone just scrubbed the right file.
Yeah. We don't know how much data and actual file size was released. Like, around with GTA, it was like a few petabytes worth of data. I believe it was a lot. With Nintendo, it was a few terabytes worth of data, but it was all, like, documents and shit like that.
Yeah.
So that was an insane amount of stuff.
That's a lot.
I mean, even source code for a Game Boy game, like, Game Boy games are megabytes, like, you know.
That's true, yeah, it would take so many games.
Yeah,
a terabyte.
The source code that was found in that data leak was Soul Silver and Heart Gold. Those are the most sought after Pokemon games. They're not the most expensive rarity wise. That would be Black and White too. I think those go for like $400 something now.
Wow.
But Heart Gold and Soul Silver is considered the best one. It's a remake of Gold and Silver, and Gold and Silver is both the first region and the second region, so it's like a double Pokemon game. That's kind of like, but it's the Heart Gold Soul Silver version was made for the DS instead of the Game Boy, and it hooked up to a pedometer, so you could put your Pokemon in your pedometer and walk around in the real world with it. It was a really cool game.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. If any Pokemon is your first Pokemon, those are the first Pokemon to get into.
Yeah. And
you'd be starting off with the best, which kind of ruins the rest of them for you, but that's the good one to start with. Having that's pretty cool, because playing any Pokemon game on modern hardware is impossible.
Yeah.
So the best way to do it, if you don't have a Game Boy or a DS or a way to play these games, is to emulate them.
Right.
The thing that sucks is that if you're emulating with real source code, that's where it starts getting illegal.
Yeah.
So if any of this shows up anywhere, I mean, that's terms for, like, Pokemon Company coming down with the wrath of ire. Like,
oh, yeah.
Send
in the jets.
Yeah, dude. I don't know
Send in the typhoons.
Right.
Dragons.
Yeah, dude. There's no confirmation if they've ever caught who leaked this. If this was in August, that's right. Like over a month ago now. Yeah. But I'd be scared shitless of the Pokemon Company.
Yeah, I mean, whoever went into it already knew what they were diving into.
Right.
So hopefully they just really secured themselves, Right. Hopefully it was worth it, whatever they were looking for, because it doesn't seem like they found anything too crazy besides some, disturbing stories, but...
Yeah, you remember they had, like, that they have a new Legends game coming out. It's
Hmm.
called ZA.
Yeah.
Pokemon ZA,
Right.
Legends ZA. Apparently this was kind of like a retaliation for them not revealing any information on the game
Oh.
recently, is what was been going around as the rumor of why this happened.
And what do they find?
Apparently they found a little bit of information, but there was no like
But not
release
enough
date
to...
or anything like that.
Right, so it was
Um,
all for nothing.
We, as of right now, we know that it's coming out next year,
Yeah.
and we have known that. There was a lot of the production pipeline of Pokemon that we kind of got more of an insight on that I think that they probably didn't want to know about.
Right.
But now all of the Pokemon fans do. We kind of have. So Pokemon's working on 2 games normally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon's on this cycle where like every 3 years a new generation starts. And they release their Pokemon, this version and this version.
Right.
And then the next year they release the 3rd version, or more recently it's been DLC, but it used to be they would have like red and blue, and then yellow would combine and kind of finish off what you start in those 2.
Right.
But the reason why they do that is that you have specific Pokemon in each version, and then you trade between. It's kind of supposed to help mingle that concept together, where you have very specific Pokemon in each. I mean, you have like, let's say 100 or so that are in both, but then you have like 5 or 6 in each that are very specific to that version.
Yeah, like Fire one and
Right. Yeah, and
Pikachu.
then Pikachu for the yellow version.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, and then you have your starters as well. So if you want a starter for each one, which I guess technically even then you would still need a 3rd copy because there's 3 starters. But that was the cool thing with Red and with Gold and Silver, is that you start in Johto, which is the 2nd region. You have your starters there, and then you beat the Elite Four, and then it's revealed that you're going back to Kanto from the first game. And then you get a whole new set of starters, and it's the original 3. And then the end of Gold and Silver is you fight the main character of the first game, as like the big battle kind of
Which
thing
was you.
on top of a mountain. It's red,
Yeah.
or blue, depending on who you choose. The characters red, blue, and the girl version is green. The green never came out in the U.S. That was a Japan only. But yeah, and then the second one, you're like some kid who just moved into town, and your dad is a gym leader, and he's doing his own thing. And then you're like, I'm gonna go beat the gym leaders. So there's like a little bit more in depth with that story than there was in the first game.
Yeah.
Because the first game you're kind of supposed to be a nameless character, but then everybody was like, oh, that's red, blue, and green. And that's what we've kind of canonically gone with for the rest of the almost 30 years now. Pokemon turns 30 next year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. That's crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
The other thing that came out with this leak, the horror stories are crazy. I can't stop thinking about it. I didn't read like the Rapidash one, but I read that Slackoth one and the the Typhlosion one. I was like, what the
Those
fuck?
are pretty crazy, yeah.
And then, I mean, like, we always knew that Pokemon lore was pretty fucked up. Like, let's see if I can find. I think I've done this before, where I just pick a Pokemon card. Let's see. Here? Ghost types are always fun. This is Poltegeist. He's a ghost that lives in a teapot. This species lives in antique teapots. Most pots are forgeries, but on rare occasions, authentic work is found. And then it gives me the lore. description on that specific one. But Poltergeist or Sinisty lives in a teapot, hoping that you would pour the ghost into your own beverage and then it can possess you.
Oh, wow. That's big. I like that.
Yeah, and then Drowsy or Hypno are Pokemon that hypnotize kids. Hypno hypnotizes kids and lures them all into the woods to do whatever with them, I guess.
Right.
You know, but Drowsy comes in and eats your dreams and turns your thoughts into nightmares and like sneaks into your room.
That's cool. They should make like a Pokemon horror movie.
They kind of delve into that with episodes and stuff like that. Like ghost specific episodes are very horror oriented.
Yeah.
The original Haunter Gengar episode is pretty spooky. Sabrina, when you meet her for the first time and go to her gym, that's a pretty spooky episode. She like shrinks them all into dolls and like fucks with them in a dollhouse and stuff. It's pretty fucked.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. They get out there with some of it. But yeah, Pokemon will never. Maybe they'll do a PG-13 movie at some point. They've done a rated teen game with Pokken, but that's just more like a Tekken Pokemon game. But they've never like gone for a harder rating than what they normally do. It's still kind of been kid friendly.
Yeah.
But they totally could do a ghost, weird, spooky thing. And maybe revealing some of this more darker thoughts that maybe it's not specific lore, but more of the darker side of what Game Freak is thinking about.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows? What I was going to say about their development pipeline is that we've kind of, because of this, we found out that they're always working on 2 games at once. Mm-hmm. Game Freak is a very small team. It's like 100 people, if that. It's not a big team that makes these games. And it's like basically they are working on one, and then while they're working on one, they kind of, figure it out and then start making another, and then this one comes out, and then they take on some of the ideas with that new one, and then start a new game, and like we're going to iterate completely on that idea with this one, but we're only going to have some of the ideas in this one.
Right.
And then that's why they kind of feel like lesser halves each time. We found out that Pokemon gets sat on for decades. Like a big thing with the Pokemon community even with people who don't look at Pokemon or like Pokemon, is Pokemon don't look as good as they used to, or Pokemon all look the same, or they don't have any new ideas and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a garbage bag Pokemon. That Pokemon's a sword, or he's a key.
Right.
But we found out that they might have thought about that Pokemon back with the originals.
Yeah.
Or they have like an ever-ending well of these ideas and thoughts that
sure every
they
person
just constantly pull from.
Every person that's walked in there's probably drawn 100 of their own Pokemon.
Right. So like Klefki, the key Pokemon, could have been thought about in 2003 from the original creator. And
Absolutely.
They just sat on the idea. They were like, we're not going to introduce fairy types yet, so we're going to do that in 2 games from now.
Yeah.
Or they just might have not had a good fit for them yet.
Because they didn't really fall into any category per se.
Right.
I'm sure there was a lot of strategy behind it.
Yeah, and we've seen like beta Pokemon before. Like the original Game Freak sketches of like Pikachu and stuff like that, where Pikachu does not look like he used to at all.
Right.
And then like before Johto and our Gold and Silver came out, there was the reveal of Pika Blue, is what people were calling him back in the day. Who ended up being Meryl. And it's a little blue Pokemon. You've probably seen him before from back in the day.
Maybe.
He was like kind of like the Pikachu of the second movie. He was all. Yeah, he's basically just... He looked like a blue Pikachu, but like a water-type Pikachu. But people were calling him Pika Blue for the longest time because the beta released of him. So we've had instances of this, but this is the first time that apparently, like, we're going to start getting, like, original sketches of a lot of these Pokemon. And, cool. Yeah, and I don't know... It's only a matter of time before... I mean, even now, it was really hard to find those even ideas, so I assume they're already doing it where Pokemon companies in the background just sniping.
Buying stuff up and...
Well, just sniping people. I mean, they don't even need to buy anything, they just need to be like, cease and desist, cease and desist.
Oh, that's true,
like,
that's true. Yeah.
We don't want this we don't want this. This is classified information, that's all they have to say, and,
right.
you know... And Pokemon's literally the most profitable entertainment property ever. Somewhere like close to like $100-200 billion or something like that of all-time revenue.
Yeah.
Because it's so much bigger than just the games. It's the anime, the cards, the merchandise,
all the merch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're gonna have a theme park soon in Japan.
They have that theme park coming.
Yeah, like they have. Dude, I want to go to that so badly. I keep thinking about a Pokemon world, and I want to go so badly. Even if it's, like, the size of the backyard. If I see a Pikachu my size, I'm going to flip the fuck out.
That's so funny.
Like, having something physical like that is so cool. Yeah,
that's
it's...
True.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just, like... We don't get this with this company at all. They're very secretive.
Yeah.
They love to merch everything out and then do all of these crazy things, but like we never get the thought process behind it all.
You're right. Yeah.
Especially the Pokemon Company is one of like 3 entities that work with the Pokemon IP. There's 3 different entities that own it. You have the Pokemon Company proper, you have Game Freak, you have Nintendo, and I guess you have Creatures as well. So you have 4 that are all, you know, doing the things. Game Freak and Creatures only focus on the games, but Nintendo and Pokemon Company are merchandising the fuck out of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the talk is like, you know, is Pokemon on this cadence and making all this money so Nintendo can just, you know, float on their thing? Is that why this makes all the money so Zelda can take 9 years to make, kind of thing, you know? That's been the new talk that I've heard of, like, is this their Call of Duty? Which, I mean, like, it always has been. It's made a lot more money than Call of Duty.
Right.
But people are like, is this why these games haven't gotten better? And they've only continued to get worse as they've moved to, like, 3D and stuff like that.
That could be.
They're not given the appropriate timeline because they need these games to make that money.
Right.
Because Scarlet and Violet, even though all of the frame rate issues and stuff like that, they sold like 30 million units and counting still. Not including DLC. They had 2 expansions. And then you have like Pokemon. Yeah, dude, go ahead. Pokemon Go.
But I know it's so loud.
No, dude, you're good. I mean, it's not going to be loud when you actually bite into
That's
it.
true. It's the loudest Twinkie. That's what
It's
the
like a
scream
crunch.
is. I bite into it and it screams.
Right, like the Monsters
It's
Inc.
so light,
tubes.
too. That's the crazy part with it. It looks like it has heft, and then you pick it up, and it's like nothing.
But then you eat it. I ate it, and it felt like the most heaviest thing I've ever ate in my life. I was like, that is such a dense chocolate cake. I was like, why is this so heavy in my mouth?
But yeah, anyways.
it's really cool to see all of this stuff. It's a bummer, personal information, all of that being leaked. Especially if you don't even work at the company anymore. Because I mean, assuming that they still have information of people like that they have to give taxes to, like if you left the company at the beginning of the year, or stuff like that, or even stuff from like a few years ago.
Did I say what like the time frame of the information was that was stolen, or is it all just kind of random?
Oh, it's random. Yeah, it seems like some of these documents and stuff like that date back to like the original, like 96, 95 kind of stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You think that stuff would be separate, like in some sort of different archive?
Right, and I'm sure it was. So it was revealed that this was like a phishing scam thing, and they were just scraping for everything once they got in. So it's just once you start scraping for stuff, it's just whatever it picks up and finds at that point, and then you're not searching for anything in particular unless if you tell it to.
That's true,
assuming if you're just going for as much as possible, and I just don't know where are they storing all this information, on what leaked, how much information leaked, we still don't know, but how do they steal it all, like fucking terabytes or petabytes or whatever. I doubt it's petabytes worth of data, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then source code and stuff like that. What's the plan with that? Like, usually that stuff gets auctioned off somewhere. Who's gonna buy it? It's Pokemon source code, so that's very valuable, even for the black market. And
right. It just seems so risky.
Yeah, and what is the end goal if you do buy it? Like,
what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah. Are you gonna make the ultimate gold and silver or whatever, I think the X and Y source code also leaked. I think that was the other game. But nobody really cares about X and Y. They're not terrible games, but they're not the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Yeah, I didn't think you were gonna have anything crazy to say about it. I just thought you would find
I think it's pretty nuts. And I do appreciate, like, that there's some sort of lore, like, that people were just, like, even if it was just, like, one employee's, like, fan fiction, that someone was out there just, like,
thinking about it.
Building this universe behind the scenes or whatever.
For sure, yeah.
Because you do have to kind of say these things to even create this character visually. Like, you can't just pull a character out of nothing. You have to give it characteristics which aren't always good,
right,
but help develop its overall look and attitude. So I do like that. That's pretty cool. It's weird. It's very disturbing from what I've heard so far, and I'll read about the rest later in my own private time. But yeah, I'm sure it'll pop up if I can get a hold of it, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I had to dig for it a little bit, but I found it on Reddit, and somebody had like a Reddit thread of all of it.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's what I'll do. See if I can find something. But yeah, overall, no, that is pretty terrible, especially the personal stuff, like you said. Like
2,600 people or something like that. That's a lot of people affected.
It's annoying. Hopefully that, at least that part for sure, can get, nothing bad happens with that.
Right, and we don't know the extent of whose personal information. And we
or
don't
what
know.
Kind of personal information. It could just be first and last names.
Well, it did say that. That's why I did skip over it. It said addresses and emails, and it did say like the full gamut of everything. Wow. But we don't know if it's just Game Freak. 2,600 people seems like that could be like their whole lifetime of employees.
Yeah.
But there's 4 companies that work with the Pokemon IP, like I said, so like it could be Nintendo employees, Game Freak, Creatures, and Pokemon Company all hit. There's a lot more people that work at the Pokemon Company proper that do at Game Freak and Creatures combined. That's a huge pool of people to pull from. the there's definitely things I do hope come from this leak as more stuff gets revealed, because I assume, I mean, it took so long for this to even show its face.
Right.
And I don't think it would have shown its face unless if Game Freak said something. Like, I didn't hear anything until Game Freak officially let the floodgates open with an apology. They were like, hey, this happened, we apologize and stuff. I don't know if, like, they had a ransom note or something like that, and they were like, by this day, if you don't give us the money, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Who knows what it was? That happens to hospitals, like, all the time.
Really?
Yeah, apparently so. Like, hospitals get hacked constantly, and they're like, they have, like, a ransom budget to just deal with that shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I guess I know
It's such a weird
how to
thing.
make some money.
Yeah, right.
Go hijack a couple of hospitals.
I mean, you'll probably still get jailed, but, like, for the hospital to just continue doing its thing, they're just gonna hand over the money and then call the police and worry about the money elsewhere. I mean, they're making enough money anyways, right?
That's true.
I'm probably paying the whole ransom just to get, like, a cold checkup on.
Right. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. That was the big thing this week. Xbox had a little partner preview. That's what I had pulled up before. They revealed a couple of things here.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. At first, they start out with the Alan Wake DLC. We get the first... We had a teaser trailer not too long ago, but we get the first reveal of the Lake House expansion. We're playing as a new character. I forgot her name. She's in the main game as well. This will focus more on the FCB, I think is what it's called. The Federal Bureau of Control. FBC, the Federal Bureau of Control. And those kinds of monsters. Battery so low. Constantly low. Oh, it looks cool. It doesn't look like you're getting, like, control powers, but you're gonna have, like, some of the weapons and stuff like that. I need to play through Control. I've seen a lot of that game be played. But people talk about the way that game feels all the time, and I want to play that. After that, we get a reveal of a new horror game. I'm gonna let it play a little second.
Oh no, Chess, the horror game. I knew it.
So, that reveal right there this is the new game from Bloober Team.
That would be funny if it was just Chess, though.
That would be funny. I would believe it. Bloober Team. I've talked my fair shit on Bloober. They are the Layers of Fear people, the Blair Witch, the Medium. Their games, they're very middling, but Silent Hill 2 just came out, and Silent Hill 2 is reviewing amazingly well. Silent Hill 2 is the first time they had focused on combat in any of their games. It looks like they are taking a lot of that specifically and putting it into a modern horror setting. I don't know. I have faith that they can make a scary game. I don't know if I still have faith that they can make a good game, because Silent Hill 2 was already good on its own. That them remaking Silent Hill 2 and it being great is amazing, and I'm happy for them. But I don't know if that necessarily means that they can do it on their own, you know? like they have good story ideas, but their ability to act on that story, I don't know if it's up to par. Like Layers of Fear is kind of like whatever. Like it's horrific in nature that this dude's using like his family's blood to make the ultimate painting or whatever.
Huh.
But yeah, Chronos.
That's some like Dead Space feels.
Yeah, a big CG trailer, but we get a little bit of gameplay right here at the end, like a little teaser. I'm already feeling it with this, you know. I'm down right here just to give this a try. It feels very cosmic horror. Like Chronos makes me think of a lot more of the H.P. Lovecraft kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So I wonder how far we're gonna get into that. Here we get a reveal of a new indie game, Double 11. I don't think they've ever put anything out. This is a first-person shooter that's all about being blind. You're set in complete darkness and using light and stuff like that at certain times to help with that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's in early access right now. It was they dropped it on the day of the announcement. I haven't heard anybody talk about playing this, but I don't know. The people are talking about the movement of this game. I see it where like I don't know how it controls in person, but it seems like that doesn't feel like it would control like that.
Yeah.
But it's a unique idea. Yeah.
I mean, it says it removes light from the equation, but there's still a lot of light.
Right. Like there's like light bombs that you could set off to make it all
Everything's
like
glowing.
Yeah, to make it neon.
So like it says it's not, but it really is.
Right.
It looks cool.
Yeah. Here we get another reveal or not another reveal. We get another look at the next Like a Dragon game, the Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. This is a cool one because this is mostly story stuff. It shows you kind of a montage of everything that they've revealed over the last like few weeks. We get a little bit of ship, a little bit of the pirate world, the casino place thing.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is cool. I think I'm more excited for this one, just because of the gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not turn-based, and it's not necessarily like the old school beat 'em up stuff either. It's like it's whole new hack and slash kind of style.
Yeah.
The ship combat I could take or leave or whatever, but yeah, this is like a whole new style of fighting in these types of games. They keep pumping these out though, it's insane.
That's sick.
Yeah, the gladiator battles in the middle of it, yeah, so cool. I talked about that during this. I was like, isn't it fucking crazy that they used to fill the Colosseum up with water?
Yeah. Oh, look at that, it got some instrument.
Yeah, summoning sharks and monkeys.
That's so cool.
I
like how this pirate game already looks way better than like all the pirate games that have been coming out recently.
Right. Yeah, Skull and Bones was this year.
Right.
It finally came out this year.
That's
and they also revealed that it's coming out a week early now. So that's cool. You usually don't get a week early. You usually get like a delay. Here we get Mouse shown off. We've seen Mouse quite a bit. Mouse is the boomer shooter where it's all rubber hose. Yeah. I forgot what the actual name for it. I know rubber hose is like the term that people use for the style of animation, but like there's a specific animation house that did this style, the Betty Boop kind of. I guess you could still call this Steamboat Willie-esque. I think that's what it's mimicking with all the mouses, but like this has a little bit more motion than Steamboat Willie. I don't know, maybe I haven't seen Steamboat Willie in so long.
Looks like we just hit the jackpot.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's just like a 20-minute short. It's-
That's pretty cool, though.
yeah. I don't think we get a date for it or anything. Yeah, coming 2025. PI for hire. And then they have the little interstitial to tell you what you just watched. Here, this is a reveal of a new game. Do you like survival games?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like underwater games?
I haven't really played any underwater game. I played that crab game.
Oh, right. Yeah. Another Crab's Treasure. Did you play Subnautica?
I played a little bit with Kyle once, I think.
Yeah. Would you give another one a try?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not against it. I think I didn't play very much because it was kind of slow.
Definitely.
Swimming takes a lot.
Yeah.
and
Definitely. It's definitely a slow ramp up and stuff like that. I never really got into Subnautica either, but again, it's one of those things where like a Let's Player will play, so I'll just throw it on, you know, watch some progress in these games. But like, I always love the horror kind of feel of these games.
Yeah.
And there's always like this like stranded detective story of like the team that got stranded in the ocean before you. And the first one, there's like that giant ship that you came in that's like crashed, and you're like trying to progress just to find your way inside that ship.
Right.
And that was cool. This is Animal Well. Animal Well is out. It's on PC and Switch, but it's finally coming to Xbox. I think that they also reveal it's coming to PlayStation. Not here, but I'm pretty sure it is. And Donkey's talking in the background. I don't realize that was him actually talking. I don't watch Donkey, but he's just saying Shadow over and over again.
What we must always remember is that without shadows there is no light. These shadows are
It's a cute little platformer game that has like a little bit more to it. According to people, the PC version is the real way to play this game. I don't know if you connect your Xbox to the Wi-Fi or your Switch to the Wi-Fi, it would do the same thing. But apparently it has like the Doki Doki thing where it like fucks with like computer stuff and like
Wow. Okay.
has like some hidden things in there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I read that backwards. I thought it said something wiener.
I believe it. It's an anime game.
Yeah, feet.
This is I think Ender's Lies or whatever. This is the most generic anime shit, and apparently it's like a sequel to the Fairy Tail series or something like that, or it's made by the people that made Fairy Tail. But yeah, this just looks like another anime game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into the anime, you probably enjoy it.
You're right.
It's another story.
Coming 2025.
There's the cat. Maybe they tie it in.
All right.
I mean, that'd be cool if they tie it in with the fairy tale thing or something.
Yeah.
It's like 3,000 years in the future. Burn everything.
Burn everything.
Everything.
I forgot the name of this game.
But you can't freeze everything?
Only some things. Yeah. Yeah, this game looks alright. The art style of it, I'm kind of whatever on. I think I've talked about it before. I don't know where you stand on like the Fortnite Overwatch aesthetic.
Oh yeah, I guess there is that. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about it, like, with that aesthetic doesn't seem sincere to me. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like a human's actually making it kind of thing.
No, it seems a little off. It also doesn't, like, there wasn't even, like, a story or anything.
Right, there's...
That game didn't tell me anything other than you have some powers to do some stuff.
Right, and I appreciate seeing all the gameplay, but it just wasn't coherent.
Nothing really made me want to play it.
Right. This game is definitely going for an Elden Ring vibe. you like Gold Mist?
Yeah.
You like guys in Norse armor?
Oh, like that spider on the screen.
Yeah, dude, this game looks really cool. The only bummer is that this is a PvE extraction game. So this is Tarkov, but fantasy. They're doing the Dark and Darko thing, but they're doing it better, in my opinion.
Interesting. I mean, there's a lot of regions to enter, it looks like.
Right, and I don't know if this is like all one map all together and you're just going to different sections of the map. It being an extraction game, I don't even know what that entails, like,
Yeah,
for this.
Yeah.
Because you definitely have other players that there with you, but like, what's the end goal kind of thing?
Right.
Why?
Build a bigger arsenal, maybe?
Yeah, what are you extracting for? But I don't know. The second I heard that it was PvE extraction, I was like, yeah, you lost me. You had me with all that combat shit, and then I was like, oh, you could summon your friends, and then it was like, nah, it's PvE. I'm like, nah, dude, I'm good.
I mean, aren't all games PvE?
No, PvE is player versus everything. So like Tarkov. Or...
Oh, okay. I thought PvE was just player versus enemies.
No. Yeah, it's players versus everything is technically the term. Yeah.
I was like, all
versus...
games. That's all games.
No, yeah, versus PvP or PvPvE. There's that too. People say that for player versus enemies. Where there's like 3 factions, but no, it seems like this is just everybody for themselves kind of thing, or you can team up with members. We have seen this game before. It was a couple of years ago now, I think. Originally this was called Ghost Bike. They have changed the name. Ghost Bike is a real life term used for bikers that have died. Usually you'll see them like where if they've gotten hit in a car crash or something like that. It's usually a white bike that is left there.
Never seen that.
No? No, you'll see one in Mystic every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they'll like paint a wheel white or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah, usually it's white. But this is kind of following that. These are technically bikers that you're dying and kind of racing into the afterlife, but they're calling it Wheel World now.
Oh, interesting. Wheel World.
Yeah.
That's pretty cute too.
Yeah. Here's a horror game. This has been everywhere. I think this has kind of missed the mark. It's missed the hype. Phasmophobia is finally making its way to consoles.
Nice.
Yeah. Where the fuck was this in 2020? They had all the money in the world. They could have hired somebody to do this at the right time. But they chose 4 years later. I mean, apparently this game's tight. I don't know if it's just finally hitting 1.0. Because it was technically like early access that whole time or whatever. But
Huh. I mean, it looks sick.
yeah, Phasmophobia is fun.
My dearest
It's kind of like the Extraction mindset, except you're going in there and just trying to figure out what ghost is what.
Right.
And it's completely random.
You are old enough now to know that
This looks
every
like
bit of goodness
another one of those games that don't feel like it's actually made by people.
No, I thought this was Fable.
No. It-
That's what it looks like to me.
It looks like these people could be from the Fable world, and then the game is like a completely different game, is what I said. It feels like these characters are from a different game, and they were just like copy-pasted in here.
Yeah.
Like, that dog sticks out so
Yeah.
much.
Be brave, my son. Stay in the light, with Babu by your side, and may the magic
Yeah, that dog looks like it's from that old,
protect us all.
like,
The Legend of Babu.
Nintendo dog game.
Yeah.
Nintendogs.
Nintendogs. And it could be a really cool game. I didn't think it looked bad or anything. I just thought the character models look very weird compared to the rest of that game.
Yeah.
We saw this at the last Xbox event. This is Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. This is a more in-depth Souls-like set in the kind of, I guess it's Chinese mythology. This is a Chinese developer as well, so that makes sense. But yeah, it looks like it's taking a little bit of Sekiro, a little bit of the Wolong bit, and kind of refining both of those things. Very deliberate one-on-ones, but you have like kind of the spell casting of Wolong. But I don't know, man. I'm down. I like Chinese myth a lot. I love Japanese myth a lot. It's just I find Asian mythology a lot more interesting, especially with monsters and stuff like that. Like their monster game is unlike any other.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of cool, sick-looking stuff.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's all based on real stuff, like that, or not real stuff, but actual myth.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And a lot of these arenas kind of look similar to some of the Sekiro arenas. I think this one specifically. I was like, this is just the Great Ape Arena. I fought a giant monkey here once. These fights are sick though. It's crazy. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
They look very nice, yeah.
Guy's wearing too many things.
This guy's a chair on his back.
Yeah. I want to put on all my accessories today.
Yeah. Lady move.
Who needs to closet when you can wear it?
You wanna see what I'm wearing? Nothing is forever.
I hate that they put that Wo Chang Fallen Feathers. That tagline, putting it before the title like that. They did that last time, and it was like, is that the name of the game, or is that?
Nice, though.
Yeah. This is the final game. Another Remedy game. Remedy is bookending this. This is the Control multiplayer game that we've been hearing about for I think 4 years now. When Control came out, they were talking about the multiplayer mode, And at that point, we were probably doing the podcast, but it was like still a rumor thing at that point.
Yeah.
It was like, they're doing this thing, but it's gonna be a while. They still haven't figured it out yet. Seems like they figured it out. I don't know what they want to do with this necessarily.
Yeah, is it like gonna give you more lore or something? Or...
Right, I assume so. I assume I'll have something like that. But it's a 3v3 arena shooter.
Yeah.
But it's also PvE because you're fighting enemies as well in the middle of all that.
That's weird.
I don't know if it's free to play or if you're paying money for this. It's on Game Pass, so I assume that you're paying money for this. Who are you selling that to?
I don't see the... Yeah, I mean, I get the rest of the games, but that one doesn't make any sense.
Right. Like, that should have just been the multiplayer mode. You could have just added that to Control.
Right, and then, yeah, because then people can be like, okay, cool, I guess, if you're into that. I mean, it's not like Control's gameplay or powers are that great that I want to, like, run around for hours.
Well, Control has a lot of the movements. Control has insane movement.
I played Control. It's a great game.
Yeah, with all of the flying and stuff like that. Yeah. But you're not flying in this.
You're not doing. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like they're even if, yeah, they're not including all the stuff in Control. But then, even if they were, I mean, you can. I don't know. Yeah. Making a whole multiplayer around it is weird. I thought it was going to be like furthering the story or somehow adding another player into another chapter or something.
Right.
But I mean, maybe. I mean, it is. But that team, you know, they could twist. They could some sort of twist.
Right, and it all depends on. Yeah, it just depends on what they want to do with it. That's the big. That's still my big question of like, what's the end goal?
Yeah.
Was it just to put the multiplayer mode out finally?
Had a bunch of assets, and you're like,
yeah, let's do this thing because we're trying to fill out a contract now. Yeah,
that could be
it's
it
like
too.
We signed 2 games with Epic, so we got to get out 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like this was a passion project kind of thing, but it didn't seem. There wasn't the passion that Remedy usually has there either for their projects. Like there wasn't like. I don't know. How do you reveal a shooter? I guess.
Yeah, I mean it was.
If it's true. Not focused on story and stuff, then what is? I don't know. I really don't know. And then again, the money thing is that. Is that a $10 game?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna do the full $70 for that?
That's not a $70.
$40.
No way.
I think it might be $40. Let's see.
Even that's a lot.
Yeah, I think that would be way too much.
Which nothing's actually happening.
FBC game.
Like I could play Apex.
Right. It doesn't have a price yet. So, you can add your wish list, but I assume that means that they're probably still trying to figure out of what they want to price it at as well. It being on Game Pass is weird because I assume they're going to charge money for it. Which means as a 3v3 shooter, you're just fucking destroying yourself at the door.
Yeah.
But if you can get in, like, some of those Helldiver freaks or whatever, you know? Like, Helldiver...
That's who I think it's for. It's those people.
Right. And that very well could be the case, that could be the next thing. Helldivers was $40.
Mm-hmm.
And that game sold, like, 16 million copies.
People love that game.
That game's still selling very well.
Yeah.
But that game is having the situation of like they charge $40 out the gate, but out the gate, they shot themselves in the foot by saying all their content was going to be free, because now they're trying to feed this machine, and
Right.
they're
No one's gonna buy
yeah
more stuff now.
right. There's no, well, they can't spend money. There's nothing to buy for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if they were, I guess like what if they
And
like
buy their
released a
friend-
DLC or something?
Maybe if they did that, but as of right now, that I mean, with the launch, they planned that all of the updates would be free, because you know you want everybody on the same
Right.
scale. And there's no Helldivers 3 on the way, because Helldivers 2 took 8.5 years to make.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Helldivers 1 was like a top-down 2D game.
Really?
And
yeah, I didn't even know nothing about it. Until
Yeah.
it blew up as much as it did.
Right, yeah. The first one was like a PS Vita game from an indie studio. And that
That's
indie
crazy.
studio barely grew in size since then. And yeah, I worked on that game for 8 years on
Wow.
a engine that was dead. They purposely grabbed an engine that was dead and dormant for years by that point when
Yeah.
they had obtained it. And they were like, we're going to work on this old engine because nobody's using this. It makes our game unique. So, and then they worked on that engine for 8 years.
Mm-hmm. So now not only was it unique, but also out of date.
By double the amount of time now.
Yeah. That's very funny.
Right. So if they're doing a third one, it would be probably on Unreal. And none of those people are trained on Unreal.
Right.
That's a mess. That studio's going through a time right now, trying to figure out what they're gonna do. And then you have the Concord side of things on the other side of like, that's also PlayStation, a $40 title. That game was dead and gone within 2 weeks.
All right. Yeah.
That game was dead and gone before it came
I
out.
can't imagine that game. There's no way they don't just slap that on the back end of the new, like, control or something like that.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right. Just release that as a separate download, and if you buy the game, you get that download,
way
or
they're
if you have
gonna
Game
charge,
Pass. Yeah.
Either there's more to it that they're not telling us, or something, because that... Yeah, I mean, it looks fun,
For sure. Yeah, I wouldn't
but
mind
it doesn't
giving
look
it a
like
round.
I'd want to play it over and over and over again.
Right.
You know?
That's a solid
Like,
night.
even Apex or Call of Duty or Rocket League, like, these games that I do play for a good bit of time, I can't for very long, like, you know.
Right, they have like a progression and stuff like that, but you only go in those maps and stuff. You go in once or twice. You get a couple of levels, you know, on your items, and then
Yeah.
you dip out for the day. And there was no hint of progression there.
That
or-
too, it's like, is it like, even like in, what's that? I can never remember this name of the horror game.
Or
The
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. I always forget it. Even in that, you gain some sort of progress and you earn
Right,
upgrades for stuff so you can survive better or whatever.
right.
Is it gonna be like that? Where like you just get like little like tokens and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it being a 3v3, I mean, it kind of seemed like it implied that there was the monster items around. Like, you have some kind of... They have the gnome. And,
Right.
like, I don't know, would be, like, the fridge or something like that. Like, a lot of these FCB, like, items that are haunted or, you know, that... Maybe that could be the... You're trying to go in and get those, and you're fighting over that kind of stuff.
Perhaps, yeah.
Like, that's really the only thread that I could pull there, as, like, if we're thinking about an extraction thing, or,
I mean,
like,
maybe-
a capture the flag.
Yeah, maybe like the levels like dig deeper into the lore of like the creatures and stuff.
Right, because
So like you fight them and you learn more about it, kind of like off to the side.
Yeah. Because we were getting like
Whatever.
hordes of enemies thrown at us at that trailer and stuff like that. And like, it seemed like there was a class system. Like, it seemed like there was definitely like a heavy, a range, and a melee.
Yeah, it looked like that.
Um,
And also, where are these hordes coming from?
Right. Well, I mean, like, assuming that they're like the hiss portals from the original Control,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right.
Yeah, because the hiss came out from somewhere. Assuming that the hiss is still coming out, if Alan Wake 2 is to be taken on whatever merits that it's on, if everything's actually connected, assuming that the hiss is still out there terrorizing. Because the lake house seems like it's a mix between the hiss from Control and then the shadow world from Alan Wake, and like finally like colliding.
That's the meeting point.
Yeah. So I wonder if maybe we get this and it's like the outbreak, like everything's starting to pour out, and then you have like two factions trying to like, you have one faction trying to feed it and then one faction trying to stop it or something like that. I don't know. Now I'm like thinking real heady about it.
Right, now we're trying to really understand the purpose. Because I mean the team is known for making deeper meaning games.
Yeah, and this is obviously a sequel of some sort.
So maybe it's meant to look kind of loose and stuff, and then later on it'll be revealed like there's pinnacle stuff in there, or maybe they're doing some sort of like you know, like Call of Duty Zombies have like their own like kind of back lore stuff like that, Easter eggs and stuff. Maybe they're doing something like that where there's not like any real progression in that either, but you play it enough times, you learn the things, you do a couple Easter eggs, and you're like, oh, I know so much now or something.
Right.
It
Could be very environmental storytelling.
It kind of has that kind of look to it.
For sure.
Like you're going into different places and like doing a little investigating maybe.
Yeah.
While you're with the hordes.
Yeah, and there's like actual purpose to some of the rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rather than it just being like an empty hallway or something like that. I mean, there was a little bit of that, but since it seems like it's set inside the Federal Bureau of Control, like, seems like it gives you a little bit more room for shit to go weird.
Right.
But Remedy wouldn't do anything that wouldn't progress the story, so I assume that it must have something to do with it, even if it is, like you said, just environmental of some sort. Because I would hate it for it to be like Apex, where it's like it's tied in a Titanfall, and then they do that for like the first map and then give up on it pretty much almost instantly.
Right.
They're like, oh, this is the Titanfall world, but then like it's 10 years out from that now, and they're like, yeah, it's the Titanfall world, but like, what is Titanfall?
Walls, but...
Yeah, right. And they canceled Project Titan and stuff like that as well, and so I don't know, but I am interested for sure. It's definitely a weird thing, but we knew about it for a while, so like it wasn't that weird. It was just it finally being revealed and it being what it is. I was like, oh well, I guess that makes sense, but why?
Right.
It's just, I don't know.
And maybe there's some sort of like meta thing to it too. Like after you play, you like get taken back and you're not even actually doing that. Like
maybe.
Whole different thing.
Yeah, maybe you're like...
There's a lot of different crazy directions they could take it to really make it more of what it is.
Right.
Because even like games like, like Inscription, for instance.
Right.
You think that's a regular card game and you're like, oh, this will be fun, and then it takes you to, where it takes you.
That's coming to Game Pass soon. Finally we'll be playing that game.
Very soon, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of know the reveals of that game. Like
I wonder how they can do it. How they're gonna do it with the PlayStation or with the console. I think it's different because I think it also does a couple things where it fucks with your computer.
Right, but it came out on PlayStation simultaneously. I
Oh, did
think.
it? Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Because I talked about how they do like Morse code in the remote and stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, you're right.
But
I'm mad though because I bought that game.
Oh,
like,
you did?
Week 1, like the very first when it came out.
support your
And now
developers.
you're right. You're right. It's great. No,
Absolutely.
But now
Having
it's free.
being able to play it without it.
Yeah, and
but-
having it on my laptop is key too because I can just you
Yeah.
know while I'm at the airport or something I can
Right.
bust it out.
I've been unsubscribing from Game Pass when I don't need it because I really don't need it when on months.
I probably
don't.
should have the last like 2 months. I've just been moving
Yeah.
and paying for it anyway.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need to spend $20 if
I
I'm not
still
going to
haven't
play any
played.
of these games or use the online functionality. Because that was the last thing, the reason why I bought it wasn't for the games, it was because I wanted the online. I was like, well, I mean, I'll just have the games as, another thing to do, but like it was really because I wanted to summon an Elden Ring. And that was all I wanted to do. And then we Love Katamari came on a Game Pass, and I was like, well, that's already the next game I'm playing anyways. I own it.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel you there. That's why I deleted it this last time. It was like, because the next game I already have, so I don't
Yeah,
need
you might
it
as
anymore.
well wait.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite where like I mean now I should have like I said I should have the last couple months because I've just been unplugged and had a check. But usually I'm like downloading 4 or 5 games at a time,
Right.
which is honestly a problem because I'll never beat a game that way. But you know,
Hey, I mean,
whatever. I guess I get to sample all of them, so
right.
it's fun.
I mean, it gives you the idea of finding something too. Like, I mean, you should probably finally beat Elden Ring or
Yeah.
Lies of P.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I do find games that I stick with, like a Dragon.
Yeah.
I played that whole
You
thing
beat it finally. Yeah.
in its entirety. I couldn't put it down. It was that great.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything else came out that was distracting enough. And also that game,
Right.
the way it's made, is easier to kind of put down and pick up again without like forgetting a lot because
Right.
it's turn-based. So like you're not trying to remember combos and like how this weapon does this and stuff like that.
Right.
You know?
And the other thing that came out around that time would have been Erdtree, and you were nowhere close to that.
Right,
So-
exactly. So, yeah, but I mean, I'll get back into it. I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, all the time. I'm constantly thinking, like, I really want to play Elden Ring.
I mean, I'm not giving you shit for it. I understand completely. There's other things. I would like to play Infinite Wealth. I gave up on Like a Dragon. Yeah, Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. Like, I got 60 hours into it or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, you got
and
triple
then-
that.
I was like, well, I think I stopped because I got back into Elden Ring.
Right.
Or something like that.
I wish that they
Something else
made
came out.
an Elden Ring game with the personality of a Like a Dragon game. That would be the perfect game. Just like a really silly, dry, sarcastic Elden... I mean, I guess that's kind of another Crap's Treasure, to be honest.
Right.
It's very similar.
I-
Alright, well, I should beat that then, I guess.
That game I gave up on too. It just doesn't control the way I want.
That was my big issue when I first started playing it, was it didn't feel like anything. That's when I was also still, like, progressing in Lies of P. So I
Right,
was like,
me too.
this doesn't feel like this. This doesn't feel... I went back and played Elden Ring. This doesn't feel like that. This is... And then they went back and, like, fixed some of that stuff, and I never
How did
went...
they?
Apparently, they made it smoother.
Oh, okay.
But I never went back after that to try it again.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I had gotten back into other stuff. So,
Yeah. I put 7 hours into that game.
Yeah.
So I might as well. I know I have, like, I'm probably halfway through that. It's a long game, I heard. I think it's like
Yeah.
30 hours or so.
Yeah, it's a good chunk of time.
But, most Souls-like are about that, so it's not that bad, I guess.
Yeah, I think once I saw, like, the story and the characters and stuff, it wasn't, like, as exciting.
Right, you get desensitized to it pretty
Right.
fast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty excited about Elden Ring.
Right.
I feel like even earlier when we were watching that, those guys earlier, like I kind of sort of knew what they were doing, but at the same time it still felt new. And I'm like, this is fucking been 3 years now, and I feel like I'm still watching a brand new game like that. Whereas another Crab's Treasure, I'm just combining titles at this point. That game, I feel like I've seen, nowhere near as many videos, but it's like...
Yeah, you kind of get...
Crab with the tongs and the
right
can.
And that's on them. They don't... The enemy variety is lacking in that game, for sure.
I think all the varieties. The shells, the enemies, the weapons. Which isn't... I mean, it's the first game. It's not like... I don't
even think you get new weapons in that game.
Oh, that's right. You just
have the fork.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazier.
Yeah.
I think. Because they could have had just as many silly weapons as they did shells.
Right. I mean, and they could have totally done the one weapon thing and made it better feeling, too.
Right.
And like Sekiro, you have just the blade to that whole game, and that's all I need.
Right.
In most of these games, I find one weapon and I stick with it throughout the whole thing. If Elden Ring didn't give me 2 other katanas, I would have just stuck with my katana that I have also used in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Like the Uchi katana is in all of their games, so that's my go-to.
As you get it, why not? Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. It intrigues me to know that they went back and fixed that, because that's also the Star Wars thing as well. I had the same problem with Star Wars of like, this game is not holding me through it, and the combat doesn't feel good enough for it to carry me through the boring shit.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then like it was having performance issues, just like another Crab's Treasure, where it was like hitching all the time, and like enemies were just not responding. You don't really get T-posing in another Crab's Treasure, but in Star Wars, like enemies were like running at me in T-pose and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was like.
I mean, I would love to see a crab T-pose. But...
Right. Well, I have video of the Star Wars one for sure.
I think you might have shown me that, to be honest.
Yeah, that was like earlier. That was like
That's
one of the
funny.
first few games I played on the channel. Damn, that was so long ago. It was like 5 or 6 years ago now. Yeah, it's insane. And then the second game that came out, they had that same issue where like they had so many performance issues and people T-posing and frame rate issues and stuff like that. It was like, I'm not going to play that at launch.
Right,
like, I already went through that with the first one. I know it's not going to hold me through all those issues this time.
Yeah.
So I did end up watching Bossman play through all of that when I was like super sick.
Really?
Yeah, I watched him play. It was like 18 hours or something like that, and I just laid in bed and watched it. Yeah. That's really all I got for a podcast today. You actually probably should head out soon, because
you're gonna bounce. Shortly.
It's a 30-minute drive about to get there. So to save time, I'm not gonna elongate the ending of this anytime. We will be back in 2 weeks. Patrick and I are both going on vacation next week.
Yeah.
You're going to Disneyland, and I'm going to see my parents, so we'll have shit to talk about.
Yeah.
And the next time we'll be back. So probably around a Saturday or Sunday of 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, sometime in November.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanksgiving.
For sure.
Right, Thanksgiving's the last Thursday.
Oh, yeah. It'll be like a couple days after Halloween.
Well, no, I won't be back till the 4th.
Oh, really? Oh, so you're gonna be gone for like 2 weeks.
Like a week and a half, yeah.
Yeah, I'm only gone for 5 days.
Oh, word.
So I'll be back on my channel within the next week or so. Actually, I'm putting out a video tomorrow too. But then we'll be back with the podcast in 2 weeks. Then.
Yeah, because I think you leave earlier than me.
Yeah, I leave on Tuesday.
Okay, yeah. So I don't leave until.
No, Thursday. I leave Thursday.
I don't leave till the 27th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I leave the 24th,
right.
And I get back the 29th.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we'll still be down there until... We won't be coming back until after Halloween, because that's the whole goal, is to be down there for Halloween.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but only a few days after, and then yeah,
Hell yeah.
regular shit.
Well, we'll be back around the 6th, the 7th, around that time of November.
Yeah.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Go down to all of our socials. My channel and Patrick's channel are also down below. Same thing with the links to support us financially. Patrick sells t-shirts. I sell Pokemon cards. Yeah.
Now I gotta put out some more shirts.
Yeah.
That's another thing I was looking at too when I was scrolling down my Instagram. I was like, oh, I haven't put out a shirt in a while.
Yeah, I need to make a store for us too, so we can have Praise the Run merch.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But until then, I'll end it now. It's been fun, guys. It's been real. Bye.